Let's gamble with the obvious question. Is CloverPit the next Balatro-level obsession or just pull lever C number? The pitch is spicy. You wake up in a dingy, maybe hell cell with a slot machine, an ATM, and a fan that sounds like it's chewing souls. You've got deadlines instead of antes, 3 rounds per deadline, and a cash target that keeps climbing. Hit it and you live to spin again. Miss it and the floor swallows you like a bad Vegas weekend. It's a clean loop with a ridiculous amount of vibes. And yes, the vibes matter here because they're doing heavy lifting when the math begins to blur. The critical split is loud. PC Gamer calls it personality rich but shallow, handing out a 62 and arguing that after under 10 hours, you've basically seen the line, learned the tricks, and lost the itch for one more run. DualShockers comes in hot at 9-10, praising the deceptively simple core, the constant charm unlocks, and the sticky synergies that make runs pop. Checkpoint sits between them 7. 5 admiring the low polygrime, the tension, and the satisfying jackpot cascades, while warning that RNG can nuke your night and progress can feel like waiting for a lucky orbit. All three are right because CloverPit is less a deck builder brain burner and more a build-a-bonanza sandbox that lives or dies on how much you like tinkering with slot modifiers. Here's how it actually plays. Each deadline gives you a handful of spins to earn enough cash. Between spins, you can lucky charms with tickets, stash, or re-roll them, and deposit coins into the ATM to earn interest between rounds. After every deadline, a phone rings with deals. Buff a symbol's odds, trade a perk, take a risk. Early on, you feel like a pawn of RNGesus. Then you start bending the machine. Charms can add spins, spike symbol values, convert interest into payouts per pattern, tilt the reels toward cherries or diamonds, and trigger active bursts with a big red button. Suddenly, you're not just hoping, you're constructing. Stack interest with a charm that pays you a slice of that interest whenever 3 or more patterns hit, and you've built a tiny economy inside a slot cabinet. Tilt the machine toward common fruit and spray reliable micro wins, or go full diamond cult with luck boosts and extra spins for jackpot hunts. The illusion of randomness critique lands. You're not at the mercy of reels. You're at the mercy of the shop and the phone. If the build offers don't cohere, the run feels doomed. When they do cohere, you cackle. CloverPit is deliberately opaque in the bald principle sense. The room hides rules in plain sight. There's a poster with pattern info. A terminal tells you obscure charm unlock requirements. The toilet. Let's just say it yields exactly the 2 charms you're imagining. And yes, that joke lasts longer than it should. This environmental tutorialization fits the theme, hostile, sardonic, figure it out or die. But it also fuels the early confusion, complaint from PC Gamer. If you bounce off games that make basic rules a scavenger hunt, the first hour here will feel like a blindfolded pull. Mid-game, 2 systems change the loop. Memory cards unlock after certain milestones and let you draft run-shaping modifiers at the start. Maybe fewer rounds but more spins, or a pile of tickets up front with none later. These cards are finite per run and encourage planning over pure vibes. Second, the game introduces hazards like pattern 666, which isn't just edgy window dressing. Hit it and your winnings can evaporate. That's the don't get greedy sign in neon. The best runs surf that risk by cashing in early to secure interest ticks, then leaning on synergies to refill the coffers before the deadline bell. Let's do the taste test across outlets. DualShockers is intoxicated by the cadence, constant charm unlocks, frequent micro combos, the sense that you can actively fight RNG once you internalize rules. Checkpoint hits that same pleasure point with a run that takes starting debt into the millions via compounding interest and charm loops, while also documenting the pain of burning a memory card on a dud. PC Gamer stresses the plateau. The charm pool dilutes as it expands, fishing for a specific synergy gets harder, and the light narrative teases never blossom into an Inscription-style meta story. That last bit matters. CloverPit flirts with ARG energy. Phone calls from a polite but uncaring host, tiny room secrets, keys, endings plural. But it never gets strange enough to justify the grind if you're chasing lore. If you're here for story fireworks, you'll find sparklers. Performance and basics, quick and clean. It's from Panic Arcade, published by Future Friends Games. PC launch late September 2025. Price sits around $10. PC Gamer name check Steam Deck verified, and the low poly art plus minimal UI makes sense for handheld sessions. No heavy audio score, just machine clacks, that cavern fan, and your pulse when a 7-spin plound to one last lever yank. So where's the truth? CloverPit is a build-your-own satisfaction machine. If you enjoy system gardening, identifying a profitable loop, testing micro-optimizations, memorizing which phone deals supercharge which charms, it rewards you with those glorious stack and pop cascades that feel like winning a tiny economy. If you need deep, evolving meta with new boss layers and puzzle box reveals every few hours, you'll hit the ceiling fast. And that ceiling is lower than Balatro's because cards inherently create richer combinatorics than a hard-coded real table, even with 150 plus charms. That's not a slam, it's a scope reality check. A small spoiler in 3, 1. There are multiple endings, and they're more mood pieces than mic drop twists. If you're expecting a narrative rug pull that reframes the entire UI, temper that. Back to spoiler-safe territory. My hot take, veteran game style. CloverPit is a killer $10 side dish, not the main course. The tactile pleasure is real, the aha moments are steady for the first dozen hours, and the aesthetic sells the premise without getting in your face. It doesn't have Balatro's abyssal depth or Inscription's narrative rabbit hole, and the early opacity plus charm shop variants can make progress feel streaky. But when the machine hums, interest pings, pattern chains, charm procs, phone deal clicks, it hits that rare casino brain intersection where you feel clever, a little evil, and completely responsible for your own doom. Practical buyer guide moment. Love tinkering, theory crafting, and discovering cross effects. You'll probably join the 910 camp. Want long tail progression and lots of fresh geometry problems. You may side with the 62 crowd after a weekend. Sit in the middle craving vibes and a few banger runs? You're a 7.5. That spread isn't fence sitting. It's the genre stress test. Gambling roguelikes live or die on how much you enjoy engineering luck. If this kind of no BS deep dive is your thing, hitch a ride with Veteran Game and hit subscribe. We'll revisit if patches add map variants, charm rebalancing, or a deeper story chain. Toss a like if you've ever built a degenerate interest engine in a video game. The algorithm loves compounding returns. Final provocation. Should gambling roguelikes embrace hard caps that force build pivots every few deadlines? Or is the joy precisely in letting a broken synergy ride until the pit opens? Spin that in the comments, I'll bring the lucky cat and an ATM full of bad decisions.